Hi, it's iRacing commentator David Haynes. In 2019, I'm excited to be bringing coverage of the ChampCar Sim Series, the sim racing division of the ChampCar Endurance Series. Contested across 15 championship rounds using the 2015 Mazda MX-5, the winners will receive a free entry into a real ChampCar Endurance Series race in the 2020 season. Each points round will be broadcast live by HJBC. Head to forum.champcar.org for full information and schedule. Sign-ups are open, so get registered now. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the track.
Shut up and sit down.
It's a beautiful night at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the season finale of Season 2, Season 2019 of the ChampCar Sim Series. Two men enter this round in contention for the championship and that prize that goes with it, a free entry into the ChampCar Endurance Series in the 2020 season, valued at potentially as much as $1,500 or maybe even a little bit more. A very valuable prize that both of them would very much like to take away. Those men, Alex Albert and John D. Allen, our two drivers in contention to be the season champions here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Qualifying underway for our 1 hour race with a required pit stop. And the points situation, John D. Allen with a 6-point lead coming into this round. Alex Albert needs to finish 2 positions ahead of him to overtake that points gap and become champion. That's what we're looking for in this race. Qualifying as they're running right now, Brandon Schoen put in a very competitive time in the early goings of this qualifying session. Alex Albert has improved himself into second place there. Shane Cameron currently in third. Justin Hall in fourth. John D. Allen has 1 lap time on the board. That is good enough for 9th place. 10 cars on the grid for this season finale. And we wait with anticipation to see what may happen. So only a few cars out there on circuit still able to complete a lap and improve their qualifying position. Shane Cameron may not have crossed the line in time, but using this for a little bit of practice, he's going to start out of third at the moment. And Chris Nisley, the only driver in the session without a qualifying time as it stands at the moment, he's looking to see if he can get one. No, he's not going to have time because the session has ended right there. So that's locked in our qualifying order, and we'll run them down now as all the drivers are going to form up on the grid here at Laguna Seca, and they're going to have a full pace lap for good measure. That'll help them put some heat into their iRacing new tyre model version 7 tyres before we get underway and racing. So your front row is going to be Brandon Schoen and Alex Albert. The row behind that, Shane Cameron and Justin Hall, going to start out of 4th place. 5th, they're going to be David Evans. He's going to have Tom Ellison for company on that row. And then behind them, Lee Mullerman in 7th, Joel Brownsey in 8th. John D. Allen, with only 1 qualifying lap, is going to start off the back row in 9th place alongside Chris Nisley, but with a 1 hour race, a pit stop required for fuel as well. He'll certainly be able to move up through the field. The setup and pit stop situation for this race, every driver starting on a fixed setup with 4.2 gallons of fuel. That's enough to take them maybe as far as the halfway point of this race before they will need to pit to take on board more fuel. and likely take a set of tyres as well. That's what we learned last round at VIR North. These cars have gotten a little bit thirsty since the start of the season. Someone has spun it around on the pace lap. I didn't quite catch. That might have been Brownsy. I'm going to take a look at that now. So the cold conditions of the pace lap, I think, have caught him out. He'll be able to catch the field. That's a new one for me. So issues there for Joel Brownsy. He's currently at a bit more pace, trying to catch the field. He might start off the back row or resume his position. Pace car speed's pretty slow around here. He's slowly catching the field back up. A little bit of excitement on the pace lap before we even get underway. So just a couple more corners to go before the pace car pulls in and we get underway and racing. Schoen and Albert alongside each other behind the pace car. Justin Hall lagging back a little bit, but he might find his spot in the pack in a minute. So in dives the pace car and we get ready to start the final race of the season in the ChampCar Sim Series. Out the final corner, Brandon Schoen still waits, still checks up the pack, the whole field in a line. Schoen doing about 40 miles an hour before the green flag is shown. He puts the hammer down and Alex Albert comes along with him. Shane Cameron slots into the draft behind. David Evans in the Pink Panther car down the inside of Justin Hall gets a good start and is going to dive down the inside. Lee Mullerman and John D. Allen taking a pit lane start. I'm not sure if that is because of some of that pace lap drama with Joel Brownsy, who is still 8 seconds behind the field, did not catch them before the race restart. We'll see where they join in the race, but right now, John D. Allen not on circuit, which is very unfortunate for his race. Not off to a great start. Schoen still leading. Alex Albert right in his slipstream. Shane Cameron in third. Like we said, a swap of positions. David Evans ahead of Justin Hall for the moment. And now going for a spin in that difficult corner that comes up towards the corkscrew. Tricky corner. David Evans losing out some spots there. I think he kept it off the barrier, but it lets Justin Hall back into fourth. It elevates Tom Ellison and also elevates Chris Knisley. That's the lead, our top three breaking away a little bit. Brandon Schoen, 6 tenths over Alex Albert, just a couple tenths ahead of Shane Cameron. This circuit, not massive for drafting, unlike Road America and other circuits we've visited, but still always an effect in these relatively low horsepower cars, very much known for their pack racing. Through the Andretti hairpin, different lines taken. Brandon Schoen's racing line, very competitive. Alex Albert, if anything, starting to check up Shane Cameron off the start. John D. Allen still unable to make the race start and now 1 lap down, effectively scuppering a lot of his chances at the moment. So Schoen, Albert, Cameron, the top three. Behind that, Tom Ellison has made a move on Justin Hall, who is now back into the 5th place. So 2 positions gained off the race start for Tom Ellison. One of them an overtake on Justin Hall, the other at the expense of David Evans going for a little spin, who rejoined the race, but showing that in the dark, a couple of these corners are quite tricky. There's a few places where it's difficult to spot your turning point and your apex even during the day. That corner down at the bottom of the hill there, and Also at the corkscrew, where our leaders are right now, Alex Albert closed up big time on Brandon Schoen, put it within 1 or 2 car lengths. He's not letting the lead of the race get away from him. Dramas for Tom Ellison, dropping 2 positions. We're going to have a look at what's happened to him. At the top of the corkscrew, in a bit too deep, grazes the dirt, can't get it stopped, can't get it turned, and goes into the barriers pretty hard at the bottom of the corkscrew. It's found that there's no grip off the paved surface. He's brought that car onto pit lane, and understandable after contact with the barriers, but a switch for the lead of the race. Alex Albert, who needed a point swing in his favour coming into this round, has elevated himself into the race lead for the moment. Got a strong run off the final turn. Went around the outside of Brandon Schoen, and the move looked pretty easy in the end there. So once the tyres are warming up here a little bit, might be coming towards Alex Albert. Brandon Schoen now back into second, defending from Shane Cameron. And Justin Hall in fourth, now in a little bit of no man's land, having seen Tom Ellison and David Evans succumb to the difficult nighttime conditions and cold tyre temperatures. Shown out wide, coming up the hill, but keeps his foot in it, closes up a little bit on Alex Albert. So our top 3 still within 1 second, and Justin Hall 3 seconds behind that. Shane Cameron playing almost a little bit of rear gunner for Alex Albert at this point, giving Brandon Schoen more to worry about defensively than Schoen trying to get back into the race lead, but still anyone's game early point in this race. And fuel window open because the fuel tank size not limited in this series, only the amount of fuel you start with is fixed. So Tom Ellison, who pitted on lap 2, has rejoined the race after taking some repairs and taking on enough fuel to get to the end. So if he can get his head down from here, it's not all doom and gloom and catastrophe. He might find himself back in the top 5. Tyres warming up for all of our competitors, and across the line that time, Alex Albert and Shane Cameron both set personal best lap times. The lap times starting to tumble a little bit as the tyres continue to warm up. John D. Allen has managed to get his car out on circuit 2 laps down, which is going to be a very, very uphill battle for him, but he is out on circuit. Were there to be enough retirements or other incidents, he might be able to move high enough up the point standings to not lose 6 points to Alex Albert. Is not over yet, and a never say die attitude always works, or is always required in motorsport. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it's all you can do. Our top 3 cars very close together indeed, 6/10 this time, coming towards the top of the corkscrew. A difficult braking zone, a difficult place to sight where the track goes at the best of times. It's dark, the track not lit anything other than by our competitors' headlights. At least there's 3 sets in the leading pack, so a bit of lighting there. Albert still pulling these guys, Schoen and Cameron, around. Fastest lap of the race set last time by John D. Allen, who's going 2 seconds a lap faster than our top 3. That is very, very interesting to see indeed. Alex Albert now improving to a 44 dead that time around, slowly building up the pace. Same of the 2 gentlemen behind him. Shane Cameron just setting his personal best of a 43.8, continuing to pull a lot of time on Justin Hall, whose last lap was 4 seconds off the pace or so. So this top 3 continuing to break away. Wonder if there's some issues for Justin Hall in 4th place. He's now being closed up on by Chris Knisley, who is so far our big mover. No qualifying time for Chris Knisley, but he's picked up positions here and there where he can make them. He's up into 5th and now looking at 4th place Justin Hall. And Hall now off the circuit, big wiggle in the dust, trying to keep the throttle pinned. He is well off the circuit. Chris Knisley sees that happening, doesn't want to get involved with a rejoining Justin Hall, waits for the corkscrew. Hall will hold on to that, if only because Knisley wasn't sure which way he was going to go and looks like he lifted out of the throttle a little bit. It's clever from Knisley to not get involved in an incident this early in the race, but also he fails to capitalize on the driver in Justin Hall, who's a little bit erratic, not the driver we've seen in some previous rounds. So Knisley just biding his time in 5th place. Tom Allison, we said, had rejoined the race. I think he's had another issue because the car is on the tow hook back in pit lane. He's now marked as having made 2 pit stops. I think his race has unfortunately come undone. And what that does is elevate John D. Allen now into 8th place. So attrition, I think, John D. Allen's only hope at retaining his points lead at this stage in the race. He is a minute 20 seconds behind the next car of Joel Brownsey and 2 minutes or so behind David Evans in 6th. He'd then be really hoping on gathering a couple of positions and would need an issue for Alex Albert or Schoen and Cameron to pass him as things are at the moment. He's going to keep plugging away there, and he is still setting the timing screen alight. Speaking of, Schoen now back into the lead ahead of Alex Albert. That move being made on the way up towards the corkscrew, and one of the surprising overtaking opportunities in this circuit, purely because the fast corner at the run up towards that hill is so difficult, so easy to make a little mistake, and one of those corners that you just can't get right every single time. If the driver behind you does get it right, they'll get a great run through what is a very taxing uphill section in these low horsepower cars as well. Your 2 overtaking points around this circuit really on the way into the corkscrew and also into the Andretti hairpin. So now Schoen leading Albert, Cameron still running around in 3rd, not much to separate this top 3. Schoen deep into the Andretti hairpin, Albert with the tighter line. But sometimes that helps you get a good run off that corner, taking a wide entry and a late apex. It hasn't fully helped Schoen how he would have liked. Still just about 2 cars lengths in it for the lead of this race. And Albert will be aware of where John D. Allen is running in this race and will know that Albert can't afford to tangle with Brandon Schoen. If Schoen makes a move, it's wise for Albert to let him through, for Albert to continue to run around in this pack. As it stands right now, I think anything in the top 3 would do it. What Albert doesn't need is a crash or an incident. Shane Cameron dropping off this lead pack just a little bit as it spreads out ever so slightly. He'll still be within range of picking up the slipstream off the cars in front. What he'll also have to his advantage is those drivers in front lighting up the track and showing him the way. And that will help him spot his braking markers, spot his racing lines. It's actually tough to be the leader in these kind of conditions. So you've got less visibility than the drivers behind, who can use you as a reference marker and have more illumination of the circuit in front of them. Hall and Knisley still trading lap times in 4th and 5th, but Hall now managing to hold off Knisley about 1.5 seconds. So That gap that was closing in now spreading out a little bit, and still the closest battle on the circuit is first and second place. Albert continues to stay in the wheel tracks of Brandon Schoen. Shane Cameron tries to go with them and is staying about that equal distance behind for the moment. Cameron now back within 1 second of Alex Albert, so trying to rejoin this train once again. As a spun car in front of them, that's the driver of Joel Brownsy. He stays off the racing circuit. Our leading battle carries through unscathed. A tough entrance into this series for Joel Brownsy, who, as we saw, struggled on the pace lap. Now 1 lap off the lead of the race, but persevering, and hasn't made a trip onto the pit lane yet, so I don't think he's fully damaged that car, but he's definitely having some struggles there. I hope we see him again in the next season of the ChampCar iRacing series, which has been confirmed to be returning in 2020, much to the delight of me, and I'm sure some other people as well. So the rundown of your order on track: Brandon Schoen leading just ahead of Alex Albert. Shane Cameron trying to go with this pack, now a little bit further behind in third place. Justin Hall in fourth, fending off Chris Knisley in fifth. David Evans, after his early spin, has carried on undamaged in sixth place. Joel Brownsy we saw in the outfield, but carrying on in seventh. Now only 30 seconds ahead of John D. Allen in eighth, our last running car. Tom Ellison, the only retirement, excluding Lee Mullerman, who did not take the start of the race and we have not seen in the race conditions. That's the 10 cars that were in the session and 8 still running. Still the closest battle on circuit right now between first and second place, Brandon Schoen and Alex Albert. Shane Cameron's dropped off them a little bit, no longer able to go with them. Right on board with Alex Albert for a minute here as he pursues Brandon Schoen. So an update on the points situation, having read the points table, Alex Albert currently in second, doing all he needs to do to achieve the 6-point swing to become champion. The pace that things are going right now, John D. Allen will, in 4 or 5 laps, surpass Joel Brownsey for 7th place. That will give John D. Allen 32 points, which will require Alex Albert to finish 4th or higher to still be champion. If Alex Albert drops back into 5th, then John D. Allen would maintain his points lead. So as it stands right now, with the positions that are realistic and achievable for John D. Allen to rise up the order, Albert just needs to finish in the podium positions to achieve the points swing and become champion. What John D. Allen is hoping for is a little bit more attrition in the field for drivers like David Evans or Chris Knisley to come unstuck, which they at the moment are not doing. John D. Allen persevering though, now 15 seconds behind Joel Brownsey for 7th place. And Alex Albert, it should be said, showing no signs of weakness right now. I jinxed him. He's out in the dust a little bit, gets out of the throttle, gathers it up, loses a little bit of time to Brandon Schoen, but no harm done. He'll still be within the draft and he'll still be following along with that improved visibility of a driver in front lighting the way. A star in the east, if you will. It is the season for that sort of thing. Shane Cameron not being dropped incredibly quickly off the back of this pack, but still hasn't got back within 1 second of Alex Albert, so he'll be working hard at that. Pit stop window's certainly open for some of these drivers if they wanted to pit a little bit earlier, put on a new set of tyres and fuel their cars to get to the end. But most of them, you imagine, would be going a little bit longer on the tank, run the car a little bit lighter, and have a stronger idea of how much fuel to put in to get to the end. Shown wide through the Andretti hairpin, big wiggle, Alex Albert right up underneath his rear bumper once again. But for the points standing, doesn't need to make the overtake, so he's not making any risky dives or anything untoward like that at the moment. Just riding along and hoping to cement his championship this way. Our top drivers in the points coming into this round in order were John D. Allen, Alex Albert, Tom Ellison, Justin Hall, and Chris Knisley. And looks like an opportunity, though, for Justin Hall to supplant Tom Ellison for 3rd in the championship. Not as many big prizes being paid down the order there. In fact, I'm not aware of any prizes other than the winning prize, but maybe some pride in that potentially. Chris Knisley, of course, looking pretty cemented in 5th place, but Justin Hall will obviously get a decent points haul out of this compared to Tom Ellison, who won't be getting any points to be scored in the points. The driver needs to complete at least half the distance of the race winner, which at the moment is not going to be happening for our drivers of Tom Ellison and Lee Mullerman. More problems for Joel Brownsy. I'm not sure where it happened, but John D. Allen is now up into 7th place. So that's one more position gained for him. Not enough at this point, and while Brownsy was an easy driver to pick off for a position, he's going to need divine intervention at this point to be able to close the minute and a half that he is behind David Evans and then a bit further to Chris Knisley, a bit further to Justin Hall. So still circulating, still being scored laps, and also being the fastest driver out there, closing in some of these gaps slowly. John D. Allen a lap and a half down or so on the leaders. I'll call that actually a lap and a quarter down. He's about to try and get a lap back off David Evans. John D. Allen coming into this round with 9 wins in the championship. Alex Albert with 5. The fact that Alex Albert's still at all within contention, speaking volumes to the consistency of his performance, showing up and scoring podiums even on times when John D. Allen won. Now keeping this championship fight alive till the final round. So John D. Allen looking to put David Evans a lap down, and actually goes off the circuit a little bit, does John D. Allen. Evans almost defending to keep that lap a little bit. He'll run a little wide coming towards the run up the hill. John D. Allen to the inside to try and unlap himself. A dangerous maneuver, and David Evans realizes this, backs out of it a little bit, and it has a little bit of a half slide through the corkscrew there as well. Gathers it up, holds on to it. Interesting little piece there where 6th and 7th are 1 lap apart, and John D. Allen's trying to close David Evans for position and has to put himself 1 lap back up before he can then aim for that as well. And that demonstrates the Herculean task that John D. Allen has in front of himself, where the next car for position is just under a full lap ahead. None of our drivers have taken scheduled pit stops yet, and it's rapidly approaching that time, 3 minutes, or maybe 2 laps away from the halfway point of the race. We discovered at VIR North that these cars have gotten just a little bit thirstier than some of the earlier rounds in the championship. A little more fuel going to be required, and the car's not going as far on the starting fuel either. So depending on the consumption, we might expect everyone to need to pit in the next 5 minutes or so. Pit lane going to be a little bit busier with tire guns and fuel jugs compared to wrenches and repairs, as we've seen so far in this race. Only men to have taken a pit stop: Tom Ellison once, and then onto pit lane again to retire, and Joel Brownsy once for what was a very long stop given a fast repair is available. That car may have been fueled to the brim, and he's going to have no concerns with fuel, only keeping the car on circuit for the remainder of the laps. Albert still running very close to Schoen, and either unwilling or unable to make the pass for the lead. I want to say unwilling at this point. David Evans, first regular pit stop taker, is on the lane. We'll keep an eye out for his pit stop time. seeing in the range of 25 to 29 seconds last round out. We'll see if that's still the case. Imagine the fuel consumption might be a little bit less around Laguna Seca here than at VIR North, but not by an incredible amount. So in the box, David Evans, 25 seconds past. He's going to be joined in... No, he's not going to be joined in the lane. That's someone going past out on track. Long stop so far from David Evans, 34 seconds before he gets underway. So a sizable amount of fuel for him. He gets back up to speed, and it's a difficult pit exit here. Separated from the rest of the circuit with its own little hairpin, but Shone and Albert onto the lane, Shane Cameron following as well. So a lot of these guys, that must be about as far as they can go on fuel. What will the pit stop times be for our leaders who came in at about half a second apart? If Albert is going to be quicker on the lane, he can jump into the lead, but he would not want to risk going too short on fuel. Justin Hall in fourth follows in as well. So halfway there, everyone jumping in on the lane as Chris Knisley follows suit as well. John D. Allen will be able to go a little bit further, but only by virtue of starting a lap or so down. So good jump from Albert there is going to get him into the lead, but only just ahead of Brandon Shone. About a 2-second faster time in the box for Alex Albert. He's now scored in first, Shone in second, and Shane Cameron pretty snappy on pit lane as well, but not enough to close up in on Brandon Shone. Knisley and Hall, we'll see what happens there. Justin Hall with a quick pit stop as well. Knisley rolling. Alex Albert on the cold tyres out in the pit lane, struggling a little bit, going all four tyres off the circuit. But what he's doing right now is trying to push hard, build more of a gap over Brandon Shone. He's got 1.8 seconds in hand. He only needs a couple more tenths. He might be able to shake Brandon Shone and cement a race win. So after those pit stops for all of our leading cars, only change is Albert into the lead, Shone back into second, Cameron still in third, Hall still in fourth with more of a lead over Chris Knisley as well. David Evans running in sixth, and John D. Allen yet to pit, but on those numbers and that rush onto pit lane, can expect him in very shortly indeed. Albert pushing hard on this outlap, giving it everything. Now 2.2 seconds clear of Brandon Shone. He's been all four tyres off the paved stuff twice on this lap. Such is how hard he's pushing to try and build more of a gap, warm those tyres up quickly, make sure he doesn't have to fight with Brandon Shone for the remaining half of the race for the win. Didn't see exactly what pit service was done for the different cars, but Albert really eking time out of Brandon Shone right now. That gap now up to 3.2 seconds. Shane Cameron not able to follow those times, so everything he's saved. Alex Albert putting the hammer down now to stamp his authority over the second half of this race, which is race 15 of the season, the final race as we look to crown a champion. It's looking increasingly likely that man will be Alex Albert. second lap into the stint, and Alex Albert continues to extend it out, now 3.7 seconds. His lead over Brandon Schoen, who just does not look able to match the pace of Alex Albert at this point. First flying lap across the line. We'll see what the time is for Alex Albert. A 1:43.7 is his personal best time in this race. So he is flying along personal best sectors and a personal best lap for Alex Albert. Chris Knisley, another man setting a personal best sector on his first flying lap out of the pit lane. So new tyres helping for some of these drivers, that are mental reset as well. It's helped Alex Albert, who's lead now 5 seconds, as he puts down lap times that Brandon Schoen just cannot match. Same for Shane Cameron, also fading away from our leader, Alex Albert. So John D. Allen through the Andretti hairpin, still carrying on, still yet to pit, surely going to have to shortly. We'll see where he ends up being. He's the only man out on circuit yet to have made a pit stop at this point. And where he shakes out after that pit stop is going to be rather important indeed. 3-pack being shaken up means Alex Albert now in a little bit of a stronger position to challenge for the win that he's currently trying to hold on to. Interesting little bit of discussion. It's been pointed out to me that while I view John D. Allen as having made a pit lane start, it's possible that his car was formed on the grid and then towed back to pit lane, which would have allowed him to make a pit stop before rejoining the circuit. It's possible that he's then fueled the car to get to the end, and as he carries on, that possibility looks more and more likely that John D. Allen has been able to not start the race with enough fuel to get to the end, started on the grid with the same fuel as everyone else, and then missed the race start, had the car towed back to pit lane, and taken service then before joining the circuit for his first proper race lap. That'll be interesting to see, and it certainly would put John D. Allen in a stronger position than what I thought he was in. Currently just back on the lead lap is John D. Allen, and now we're hearing potentially fuel to get to the end. Fuel tank is big enough in these Mazda MX-5s of 2015 specification to go a full hour. It's the ChampCar Sim Series regulation that makes everyone start with 4.2 gallons in the tank, and the fixed setup that in theory requires a pit stop. John D. Allen has gained no advantage out of what has befallen him with what appears to be either an early tow from the grid or a pit lane start, depending on your perspective. And it'll be an interesting one to look at after the race. What it appears he may have done is made the best of a poor situation. Chris Knisley pulling some quick times out of somewhere, 2.5 seconds faster than Justin Hall on the last lap, and also the fastest man out on circuit. Faster than Allen, faster than Albert. The 43.9 was a personal best lap for Chris Knisley, who's found some speed all of a sudden out of somewhere, is only just a little bit behind Justin Hall. So we'll see if he can continue that trend. We hit 20 minutes to go. Just seen John D. Allen cut the corkscrew, and I think he's picked up a slowdown penalty from that. We'll see what the lap time is this time by, but he was coasting all the way down the hill following that. That will have hurt his lap time quite a bit indeed. A 1 minute 46, which is 4 seconds off his best. In trying to put Joel Brownsley another lap down, he's cut part of the course, and that's ended up costing him quite a few seconds. Be frustrating for him indeed, considering he can start to smell David Evans up the road in 6th place. That gap had come down to about 35 seconds or so. It's extended a little bit on that lap, where John D. Allen has pushed the limits of the circuit just a little bit too far and received an automated race control penalty for doing so, to prevent him from gaining an advantage from straight lining the corkscrew. He's played a little bit too dear with the track limits, and it's been costly in the end. Flagged earlier, Chris Knisley picking up a little bit of pace in the second part of this race, now right up behind Justin Hall in the battle over 4th place. That was a little bit too close to poetry, and I won't be doing it again. But yep, Knisley has found a bit more speed, found a bit more consistency. He's now right up behind Justin Hall, looking for a place to pounce. Best opportunities probably be up the hill towards the corkscrew or into the Andretti hairpin after the start-finish straight. Hall, 2 wheels on the dirt, but not a bad run up the hill. Nicely not able to capitalize on this opportunity up towards the corkscrew. He'll put some pressure on. Hall runs a bit wide. That's a bit wide indeed, but to go too wide through the corkscrew is very, very bold, but Knisley's done it. Gives him the inside down the hill, puts his nose in front and into 4th place for the moment. Is Hall given up on that one? He's had to in the end. So strong move from Knisley. Capitalize on putting the pressure on Justin Hall. And then a good run off the bottom of the corkscrew moves Chris Knisley into 4th place. Man who didn't have a qualifying time on paper started from 10th, actually started from 9th when Lee Moorman didn't take the grid. Nicely moving up through the ranks in this race into 4th place. the lead of the race. Its gap has stabilized a little bit. Alex Albert not pulling quite as much time as he was earlier over Brandon Schoen. Maybe he's eased off the throttle a little bit once he's built enough of a gap to his satisfaction and comfort. 16 minutes to go. It was 10 laps last time. Alex Albert will have 9 more laps in this race at the pace that they're doing right now. And in saying 10 laps to go, John D. Allen pulling 2 seconds a lap out of David Evans, but more than 20 seconds behind. So at the current rate, not looking to increase a further position from 7th unless there is a bigger problem for David Evans, Justin Hall, or Chris Knisley. It's 15 minutes to go right now. That's 3/4 of the race done and 1/4 remaining. Going to ride on board with Justin Hall in 5th place, who's now got the slipstream from Chris Knisley. And we've seen that being the following car in these dark conditions can certainly be an advantage. And that lap around, Chris Knisley a little bit faster than Justin Hall, managing to pull a little bit of a gap, but we'll see if that remains. Knisley's had some flashes of pace this season. We certainly hope to see him again in the 2020 season. Hall very, very wide through the infield around the dry lake for which the circuit is named in Spanish. They're going to put a lap down on, I think that's Brown's. Yes, it is. So Knisley cleanly through before the corner for the bottom of the hill. Hall going to have a little bit more struggles putting that car of Brownsy a lap down. He'll look to the inside to signal his intention, but not sure he'll be let through towards the corkscrew this time. This is very much to the benefit of Chris Knisley, who's not being impeded and is going to get on away. Hall still behind that car of Brownsy, who is 3 laps down to himself. Now I think he'll get the opportunity to go on through as Brownsy goes very, very wide onto some of the dirt, sand, grass, whatever it is around Laguna Seca here in California. I think it varies by season sometimes as well. So Hall now finally on through, but in doing that, he's lost 2 seconds or more to Chris Knisley, who maybe he was hoping to stay with and continue to battle, but this has very much helped Knisley. Indeed, Hall is 2 seconds slower on that lap. They come across the line and the timing updates for me there. Cameron was able to run with the leading duo in the early goings. Now 24 seconds off the lead. I think he very much benefited from being in the pack in the first half of the race. Now he's driving solo, maybe not hitting his marks as cleanly, maybe not getting the reference point of the other drivers, not following in the slipstream and the draft of them. So he's now 24 seconds off the lead and lapping a little bit slower. Be a mission for Chris Knisley to close him in the last 10 minutes of the race. But certainly Cameron's going to need to continue to lap cleanly if he's going to hold on to what I think would be his first podium in this championship. One minute 48 this time for Shane Cameron is 5 seconds shy of his best lap. So pace dropping away a little bit in the last 10 minutes of the race and of the season. But still quite a Herculean task for Chris Knisley to be able to close in and pass in the remaining time. Oh, big issues there for Shane Cameron, cutting across the corkscrew, nearly found the wall at the bottom of the hill as other drivers have done earlier this race, but he gathers it up. Scary moment there. I'm sure that's also a slowdown penalty, but at least it's not a trip down onto the pit road to get that car fixed as he just kept it off the barrier. Circuit started off pretty dark. It's only continued to get darker out there, if indeed that was possible. So spotting your braking point, spotting your turn in, a challenge at the best of times, made even more difficult by the lack of lighting around the circuit. It's Cameron's pace there, now down to a 1 minute 50. Knisley with a 1 minute 46. Not enough with 7.5 minutes, 5 laps to go. There'll be 4 to go when Alex Albert crosses the line next. He's about halfway around a lap at the moment. So about 4.5 laps remaining for him. His lead now 9 seconds. Trading lap times pretty evenly with Brandon Schoen at the moment. Cameron, the one on the podium, dropping back a little further. So 4 laps to go now started. No cars on track within closer than a second to each other. Closest on circuit is between 4th and 5th, Chris Nisley, but the trend there, Nisley extending that gap out a little bit further. It's 5 seconds now, and Nisley was about a second and a half faster on that lap. So he's definitely got a little bit more confidence in the dark conditions and later in the race. Not enough to close in on Shane Cameron, who stabilized the gap on that lap. Much more competitive, equal time with Chris Nisley, and not off circuit with a scare like he had on previous times. Five minutes left to go. Your leader, Alex Albert, heading towards victory and a championship at a canter. Just trying to bring this car home now. His gap, 8.5 seconds. One that he built out of the pit stop in the middle of the race and has held on to all the way since then. Not feeling the need to extend the gap further or push too hard. Eight cars on circuit, one retirement, one did not start, and all bar one on the lead lap at the moment. Joel Brownsy, 3 laps off the lead now. John D. Allen doggedly staying on the lead lap, even if only by about 10 or 15 seconds at the moment. He's carried on without having made a pit stop since the start of the race, so evidently has been able to fuel that car on pit road after having to tow from the starting grid. An interesting turn of events for him that he would have rathered not, I'm sure. And has unfortunately robbed us of kind of the battle we were hoping for in a championship decider, but it sort of plays to how the whole championship has run, where John D. Allen, with more than twice as many victories as Alex Albert heading into this round. But consistency from Albert, taking some solid points hauls out of many of the 15 rounds, kept himself in contention, and now the consistency and execution plays to his favor again. Closest cars on circuit is still that battle over the final step on the podium, where Shane Cameron is 10 seconds ahead of Chris Nisley, who is pursuing him at a rate of a couple seconds a lap, but not enough at this point. And then Justin Hall in 5th, who is dropping back just a little bit. Nisley, a man on a charge, but a little too late in the race to be able to score a podium. Cameron definitely benefited from being able to run with the top 3 drivers in a bit of a pack in the first half of the race. Certainly let him build more time over the rest of the field, even if some of that is coming undone later in the race. His effort in the first half building him enough of a gap to look like he'll be able to hold on. Alex Albert going to cross the start-finish line to start the final lap of the race this time, and it's close. He's been doing 1 minute 45 lap times. There's going to be about 1 minute 40 on the clock as he crosses now. Were he a little bit quicker, this race would have gone 1 lap longer, but as it stands, the white flag has been waved for him. Checkered flag will be next time. To my best of my understanding, sometimes race control a little bit confusing when it's on the fine margins of how many laps the race distance might be. So we'll seek a little bit more confirmation further around the lap. That certainly looks like he started the final lap of the race, and So too will the other drivers follow him. Certainly the time is going to expire before Alex Albert reaches the starting line again. But if it was close enough and the clock was far enough down that race control felt confident to throw the white flag, still remains to be seen. So we wait with bated breath as he goes through the corkscrew for what may be the last time, to see if this is indeed the last lap. It's not saying it on my timing screen yet, but indicating that it should be 10 seconds remaining. One more corner. Albert's eased off the pace a little bit, and I think hoping for the checkered flag, which he is indeed going to get this time through the final corner for the final time. Checkered flag at Laguna Seca, and it falls on the championship. Alex Albert is the winner. Brandon Schoen, a couple seconds behind, grabs a very respectable second place where he fought Alex Albert for the lead several times. Shane Cameron further around, but looking like he'll hold on to the podium. The last man who's going to come across the line will be Joel Brownsy still, I think. Shane Cameron, Knisley, Hall, Evans, John D. Allen still to see the checkered flag, all very spread out around the lap. Cameron across the line to stand on the podium. Knisley and Hall still a bit of work to do. Bit of heartbreak at the final hurdle for John D. Allen, who now, as fourth and fifth cross the line, is not going to be able to hold on to his points lead or take the win. So Alex Albert is back-to-back Atlantic Division ChampCar Series, Sim Series champion. John D. Allen giving him one hell of a fight all season long, in a very commendable performance that saw him take 9 race wins, but not at the final race of the season where Alex Albert holds on. John D. Allen crossing the line now, 1 minute 26 seconds off the lead. And definitely the fastest man out there today, but just not taking the race start due to technical problems, which is very, very unfortunate to see. All drivers across the finish line now. Will run down your order before we then look to speak with some of our contenders and some of our drivers. So Alex Albert, the winner, 6 seconds ahead of Brandon Schoen. Shane Cameron gets third place in the end, 36 seconds away from the lead, but a respectable performance. Fourth goes to Chris Knisley, who we saw overtake Justin Hall, who ends up in fifth. David Evans on the lead lap in sixth place. Same for John D. Allen, 1 minute 26 seconds behind. And then Joel Brownsy scoring 31 laps to be 3 laps down, but did see the checkered flag. Tom Ellison, our only retirement. Lee Moorman turning some laps in practice, but not taking the start of the race. So we might start with the interviews in reverse order as Alex Albert does some well-deserved burnouts down there. Going to get John D. Allen, and a strong season for you, 9 wins, but undone in this final race. What happened there, John?
Well, just the nature of sim racing. There's some, things we substitute in the place of mechanical failures, I guess, to make the real racing parallel. There was an update since last time. I haven't been on the sim that much. Got it downloaded in time, made it in with 5 minutes to go in qualifying. Got wrecked trying to qualify, but thought I'll start in the back and just, be smart. And jumped out of the sim briefly to change a couple settings, jumped back in, and only the left of my 3 screens was working. So I had to park it, take a tow, leave the session, return to the session to find that the tow didn't count down while I was gone, and it did not fix the screen issue. So Started about 2 laps down, I believe, but I was able to take my fuel while I sat there after the tow, so that got a little bit of time back, got me back onto the lead lap when others pitted. But yeah, turn one was a nightmare. Any left turn, I got 4 slowdowns. I think I averaged over a off track a lap. It just really, really a test of patience to stick it out and maybe try and pick up a free spot or two. Because I honestly don't know where the points stand. So if this cost me a championship, that would be a really crummy way for it to happen. But that's racing. Stuff like that can happen unexpectedly, as those among the huge ass community learned this summer at Indianapolis, and so it's comes with the territory.
Yep, our understanding of the points was you had 6 points lead coming into this championship, and Alex Albert has surpassed you to become champion. So I guess, in a way, commiserations go to you with a fight in the final race taken out of your hands, and also, in a way, stolen from the viewer.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, not much else to say about that. It's unfortunate. Congratulations to Alex. Obviously, that still needs to be said, and consistency pays off, and strong contention all year long, and happy for him.
Thanks so much, John. Hope we'll see you in the next season with ChampCar Sim Series confirmed to return next year.
I would say you can count on it.
Well, we go now to the race winner, and from the size of his burnouts, he definitely seems to think so as well. Championship winner, 2019 ChampCar Sim Series Atlantic Division champion, Alex Albert.
Hey, thanks, David. Good to talk to you again.
Well, in the end, it looked like it was really about just going with the pack in the first half and then building a gap in the second half of the race. I mean, you came into this hoping to win. Is issues for John D. Allen like that how you wanted to win the championship? I'm sure.
No, obviously, I didn't want to win it this way. I mean, I definitely wanted to win it. I hate that John D, lost it basically instead of me winning it. He was really fast tonight, and I think it would have been tough to beat, but he just had a little trouble on his side, and we didn't. So you got to take them how they come, and we're glad to get another W.
Racing in the dark looked really tough there. A couple of guys having some incidents. What was that like?
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty difficult. It's, I would say, a little bit easier maybe than it is in real life. The headlights on this car are very, very impressive, but it's still tough with the elevation and the way the ground lays to sometimes see the apexes until you're just on top of them. And so, yeah, there was quite a few times I turned in early or turned in late, and I noticed the same with other people. So yeah, I think it definitely made things more difficult. Probably slowed us down by half a second, maybe a second a lap.
Well, strategy for this race, for maybe the first time all season long, we saw basically the entire field jump in on the same lap. Is that as long as the fuel is going these days?
Yeah, it seems like since we were just talking about this in the paddock after the race, it seems like after the last couple updates, the fuel mileage has changed and we're burning a lot more fuel lately. Earlier in the season, whether you could take tires free at 3.1 gallons or so was touch and go at times. There was times you needed 2.8 or times you needed 3.3, but it seems like the last 2 weeks we've been burning closer to 4 gallons in the first half of the race, and barely being able to make it to the 30-minute mark, where previously we could go to probably about 35. So yeah, the increased fuel mileage made the tires free. I was surprised more people didn't take advantage of that.
Well, in wrapping up this season, towards the end of the year, you got any thoughts about the ChampCar Sim Series and about how you might use your prize of a free entry into ChampCar Endurance Series 2020?
Yeah, I don't want to count my eggs until they hatch. Obviously, need to hear back from the league office on the finalizing of the points. But if I am lucky enough to win it again, I think I will once again be using my prize for Watkins Glen. We have a little unfinished business there. Last year we had some mechanical issues with the new engine, but this year we're going to do some racing before we get there and some testing, and I think we're going to be able to go and settle the business.
Well, congratulations, buddy. Any final thanks before I kick you out?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to you for being the voice of the Sim series. Thanks to Michael Derby. I don't think he gets maybe enough appreciation for putting on these shows. And thanks to Tom for being the liaison to the ChampCar Club and helping run this series. He does a great job, and couldn't do it without all you guys. So I appreciate it. It's a great league. Battled all year with John, and I'll be happy either way. Just a lot of good racing.
Well, there we go. And it's time for me to also thank Michael Derby, thank everyone from ChampCar involved with this series and the generous prize they put on, and thank everyone who's tuned in and watched and all of that throughout the season for the 2019 ChampCar Sim Series. And until next time, it's good night from me, David Haynes, and we'll see you again in 2020. Hi, it's iRacing commentator David Haynes. In 2019, I'm excited to be bringing coverage of the ChampCar Sim Series, the sim racing division of the ChampCar Endurance Series. Contested across 15 championship rounds using the 2015 Mazda MX-5, the winners will receive a free entry into a real ChampCar Endurance Series race in the 2020 season. Each points round will be broadcast live by HJBC. Head to forum.champcar.org for full information and schedule. Sign-ups are open, so get registered now. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the track.